What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Steve, Nozilla here. I think it's been about a week, maybe a little bit over a week since I uploaded the last video. So this is kind of like a follow-up, I guess, of the last video regarding the cooling issue. I had gone ahead and ordered a fan shroud for the chase base radiator, with plans to install that on there and do some follow-up testing and update everybody on what I found out about the the ability to cool with the shroud versus the not having the shroud. So last weekend, my future brother-in-law was actually up, and we had a little bit of time, and he wanted to play cars, so we actually did something that I was planning on doing with this thing, but was reluctant to do because I really kind of drank the Kool-Aid with the Evans coolant, and I really believed that that was a superior product, and it wasn't going to be part of my issue. But I was gravely mistaken with that, and this was a build, this was a pretty big build, and I was trying to put superior products into it, and I should have been smart and stuck to the things that I knew and that I trusted. But I tried something new, and it's been creating issues for me since the beginning, and here we are. So last weekend I emptied the coolant out of the car, took the Evans out, and this has always been in the back of my mind, this Evans coolant stuff. I've been wondering about this and wondering if this was my issue or not, but I don't recall exactly who it was, but somebody sent me a message, I believe it was on Instagram, a friend, and there was a gentleman, an English gentleman chap, and he was online on YouTube, and he was describing some issues with the claims that Evans makes about their coolant, and how they're not really substantiated, and how he doesn't believe that it's really the greatest thing in the world, as Evans goes off to say that it is. And turns out he was very right. Since this, last weekend in this video, obviously, I've made some posts on Facebook, and I've got some people that have commented saying, I've been running Evans, in my car with no issues for years, and it's great and good, but not on this car, not for me. It did not work. So just to bring everybody up to speed, the issue was that there was no problem with the coolant working under load on when the car was running, when it was actually moving. But when the car was sitting at idle, the Evans coolant temperature would not stabilize, period. Would not stabilize. So I'm talking like it would hit a thermostat temperature, and it would continue to rise, and it would creep, and it would get over 200, and it would just continue to go. And if you let it would just continue to go all the way to the moon. So I was convinced that I had an issue with flow and some other issues and stuff, and I guess really what it came down to was an issue with flow. So I think that the Evans is just too viscous at idle to really circulate with the RB water pump. And so anyways, I drained that out. I filled it up with 50/50. I think some old Prestone stuff that I had laying around in the garage. And I didn't even really bother to bleed it that much because I couldn't find my bleeding funnel. And I just burped the lines a little bit by hand. It sat at 188, didn't budge, it didn't move. So it stabilized at 188. I think my thermostat opens at 185. So I imagine that, with the fan shroud, I can probably get that to a little bit closer to, the thermostat temperature, 185 or so. So I am not going to be supporting Evans coolant anymore. That was a mistake on my part. I really... you gotta try things in order to learn, and I'm gonna chalk this up as a learning experience. So, anyways, that being said, here we are. We have the car now is idling at a good temperature, but now we got a new issue. So I mean, it's RB life right here. So the new issue is I have a kind of like an intermittent misfire, and the misfire is taking place under, very noticeably under low load. I'm getting a bit of idle surge as well, and those are really the only two symptoms that I have at the moment. Everything else is relatively normal. When I try to drive the car down the road and I get into boost and stuff like that, it basically feels good. It clears up. Sometimes I get a misfire going into boost, but mostly it's a low load stuff like 2,000, 3,000 RPM, just light throttle. So I've done I've gone down the list of all the basic, the normal things to look for. So I pulled the plugs out. That was the first thing I did. And my plugs looked all normal. 2 through 6 looked completely normal. They had like a tannish, color to them. But plug number 1 looked a little interesting. It looked almost brand new. It looked almost like, let me see if I have the plug laying around here. So this is a brand new NGK BC PREIX Iridium, heat range 8 plug. I actually had this plug, this exact plug, mounted in the number 1 cylinder for a very short time. But you can see the ceramic down here is very white. It's like perfectly white, almost clean. This is exactly how the ceramic looks in the plug that's in there right now. All the rest are tan. So immediately, that brings suspect to something not going on in that cylinder, right? So we start taking a look at some of the other components in that cylinder, and the next thing to look at is really the coil pack. So I took apart the coil pack, and I noticed that there was some fouling inside the coil pack where the resistor connects up inside there, and there was also some fouling on the tip of the resistor. So this kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit and think, is there something wrong with the coil pack? I'm not sure, right? So I went ahead and I actually had some spare R35 coil packs laying around, so I threw in an entire new set of coil packs, and I put this new plug in just to see if that made a difference, and it did not. It made absolutely no difference whatsoever. I've disassembled the new coils that I put in there now, and I don't see any fouling or anything in there at all. I have a brand new coil pack harness. I did a continuity test on the signal lines for cylinder 1 all the way back to the ECU, shaking and rattling the wires, and there's no issue there. My voltage is fine, my fuel pressure is fine. The next step was then to look at the injector. So I pulled the fuel rail off and looked at the injectors, and I did notice that injector number 1 didn't look on the inside any different than 2 through 6. However, one thing I had noticed before about injector 1 is that it did have some dirtiness to the outside of it, which may indicate that there was a lower O-ring seal leak, which could potentially just be like a small vacuum or boost leak. Nothing too crazy that could potentially make some issues with the air-fuel ratio of that cylinder, but it was so minimal that I don't think it's related whatsoever. I did do a resistance test on the injectors, and they all came back nominal. So I haven't entirely ruled out the injector just yet, but so far those look fine. So the injector's fine, coils are fine, spark plugs are fine. So what else do you start looking at? So, I actually had a spare 4-bar Haltech map sensor laying around, plugged that in, no difference. I think the next step would be to look at the wideband. And then I'm almost thinking like maybe I should investigate the fuel delivery system. I do have this mechanical fuel pump. I'm wondering if maybe there's a pinch in the line somewhere that's affecting the fuel flow under load. I'm not sure. But we have to dig a little bit deeper. Obviously, when you're diagnosing stuff like this, what's going through your mind is like, oh shit, what happened? You know, like what have I been doing lately that could have gotten me to this spot? So the last thing I did was I changed the coolant, but I even went for a ride after I changed the coolant, and got on it pretty hard. Everything was absolutely fine, no issues. It was only the time that I took it out after that, after it cooled down a couple days after, where I noticed the problem. Before this, probably a month and a half ago, I had a scenario where my water pump and alternator belt pulley broke under load, and it caused the temperatures to rise up quite a bit. Nothing too crazy, but still, a concerning level. I've got a lot of things going on with the car that provide a lot of protection, so I wasn't overly concerned with that, and there was no issues afterwards. So, but again, you start thinking about all these things, and you start wondering, like, what something happened? Is my head warped? Did I burn a valve? What's going on? Do I have low compression in cylinder one? What's causing this issue? So reluctantly, I did do a compression test. And it was funny because I went to go look for my compression test tool, and it was gone. I'm pretty sure I lent it out to one of my buddies, and I haven't gotten it back. So I ordered a new tool from Amazon. It showed up a day early today. So I did do a compression test, and these things are always anxiety ridden, because you're wondering to yourself, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to say, like, when you find out, like, the facts, right? So I did the compression test, and we had 150 psi in all cylinders across the board, front to back. So, and that was cold. So I know that compression is absolutely fine, no issue there. So back to what the hell is my issue? So I don't know yet. We're going to have to continue the diagnostic. Like I said, I'm going to look at the fuel delivery system and see if we can get a little bit further into that. And then there's also a chance that it could be a map issue. It could be something got accidentally changed. In the ECU map, there was recently a firmware update for Haltech, so it could have something to do with that. Maybe I clicked on something. Maybe I did something by accident, wasn't paying attention. It's also possible. But the good news is that the compression test turns it back okay. So I think we're in good shape. We just have to diagnose this issue and push it home. But unfortunately, tomorrow is, I think it's June 6th, I think. So that's Import Face-Off meet up in Lebanon Valley, New York. I bought tickets for that probably a month ago or so. So I'll be headed up there tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'll be trailering the car and kind of limping it into the parking lot. So I'll do a video there tomorrow, and we'll try to have some fun and see some more cool cars, and I'll have some buddies up there, so we'll have a good time. But we'll get back to this in a little bit, and we'll solve this problem, and I'll report back. But if anybody's got any suggestions or ideas about a low load intermittent misfire, most likely on cylinder number one. I mean, this is a pretty specific things considering the complexity and aftermarket aspect of this engine, and how it's built. So either way, I'm not too concerned. Worst case scenario, if the head was damaged or whatever, I'm actually having another head built right now by Derek Allen from Simply RB in South Dakota. And he's doing something real special for me. It's going to be a shimless bucket Neo, fully ported and built. Same cams that I have in the car right now, which are the Kelford 244Bs, the 272 exhaust and 264 intake, I believe, with the VCT enabling. So that head's going to be able to rev to the moon. So anticipating getting over 10,000 RPM with that head with no issue. So, worst case scenario, this head comes out, that head goes in, but I don't think we're at that point yet. I'm going to try to plan all this around taking the engine out and installing the Samsona 6-speed sequential transmission. Still waiting for this thing. It's been a little while, and it's getting a little bit concerning, but I'm hanging in there, and I'm hoping that it shows up soon. So I ordered this back in January, and the initial, ETA was like I think 6 to 8 weeks or something, and I think we just capped out 5 months. So, guys, I get it, man. I've done a few builds now, and I've ordered lots of parts, and I know that the world right now is a completely different place than it used to be. And I know that parts take a long time. I know that shipping speeds are delayed. I know that production is being delayed. I know that raw material costs are being delayed, and costs have increased. I get it, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's a big spend, big item, and I would like to get this thing and get a chance to experience it this summer before it's time to lay the car up for the winter. And at this rate, we're looking at like it's June already. So realistically speaking, if this thing came in even sometime this month, it probably wouldn't be on the road again until July or August, which leaves us just with a few months before we start getting ready to put the car down. But it is what it is. We got to. We're at the mercy of the Skyline gods right now. So, anyways, I flipped the camera around. I got some more stuff back from the old house. So these are the tires that are going on the GTR. And I've been waiting to do another video on this thing, and I've been slowly working on this thing, and I'm going to do the next video will show all the updates and the work that I've done on it, because I've done quite a bit of work on it. And the wheels are coming. They have been shipped. They should be here, I'm hoping within a week or two. So these are pretty good size meets, Nitto NTO 5s. So these are like your street slick, and they're going to be going on here. And I'm not going to say the wheels just yet that are going to be going on this car, but they're going to be unique, as the car is, and they are going to look awesome, I think. You can see that I've been doing some priming. I've been doing a lot of fiberglass work, specifically in the back end. I'm not going to poke around there right now because we'll do a reveal there later. But we're making some progress. You can see the glass is out in the rear, the glass is out in the front. The front glass was broken, it's gone. I have replacement glass coming in from Australia. The rear glass there was a small chip on the other side. I was able to take it out entirely intact, so that's sitting in my office right now. And other than that, we'll do an update on it next video. This is an RB30 block and crank sitting down here. My buddy Mitch bought this. I'm going to be meeting up with him soon to deliver. This is a really nice RB30 crank. Good rotating assembly. The block is beautiful. This block actually is kind of special. I'm not going to lift it up at the moment, but this actually has a fire ring system installed, which is kind of unique. I got the 26 block up here with the 25 Neo head sitting on top of it, just because I needed a place to put it. But this most likely will be the block that ends up going in this car, unless we decide to do something absolutely, apeshit crazy here. So, yeah, guys, the fun, the anxiety, and the craziness continues. But we'll have some fun at Import Face Off tomorrow, and we'll do some video up there, and we'll find some cool cars, and hopefully we can get this thing fixed soon, and we get this thing out on the road and start having some more fun. But talk to you soon.